Trump's push for African-American voters comes on the heels of another interesting day for Hillary Clinton. The FBI released a report relating to her July interview with the Bureau about her private email server and all of those classified emails. Joining me now, former Hillary Clinton advisor to her 2006 campaign, Democratic strategist Richard Goodstein. Richard, thanks for coming back this week. Let me ask you, what did you think of the information that came out yesterday? Specifically, I mean, some of the things that caught my attention, the idea that she didn't know what the C for classified men. I think all of us know what that means, and we've never been trained or held government office.
Yeah. You know, I think when Hillary Clinton, let's think back, 8 years is not ancient history. When she became Secretary of State, the world was going to hell in a handbasket. The economy was tanking. The U.S. was in its reputation around the world.
This was just a month or two ago when she was sitting down for that interview with James Comey. She didn't know what that C meant.
Okay.
She said she thought it was A, B, C.
Right.
Like bullet points.
I understand. You know what? It's funny. Donald Trump asked in a debate about the nuclear triad, didn't know what that was. He insisted on TV he didn't know who David Duke or white supremacists were.
I don't think that's the subject we're doing right now. We're trying to talk about, is it reasonable that she's supposed to be, and hang on one second, is it reasonable that she's supposed to be the Secretary of State and in charge of all this classified information, and all of us out there who read the newspaper know what the C means, and she doesn't? That's either gross incompetence or she's not telling the truth. It's just astonishing.
Right. So, you know, again, I just have to use this as a frame of reference. Her Republican antagonist had her for 11 and a half hours in that Benghazi committee. If they thought there was an Achilles heel there, they would have borne in on it, Melissa.
We got to stick to this email thing. This is really what this topic is about.
Well, that was about emails, too.
So you don't think anything about the fact that she doesn't know what the C meant. How about this idea that they downloaded emails to a laptop and stuck it in the mail, and it got lost in the mail? That was their excuse as to what happened to many of the emails that have now disappeared and can't be retraced. I mean, to me, that's either really gross incompetence or they're lying.
Right. So again, all this talk about the emails that she did not disclose because they were personal, right? We don't know. I've read that thing cover to cover that the FBI released yesterday. And yes, there were people who, in retrospect, didn't do everything that I think they probably wish they had done to preserve things and so forth. But as far as those documents were concerned that were personal, and I think that's what we're referring to, think back to
what we're talking about is, would you ever stick a laptop in an envelope and hand it to the postman? I mean, in what world would anyone ever do that, Richard? That is the most bizarre story. I mean, I feel like that's one of my kids coming to me and telling me what happened to their laptop. I mean, it's ridiculous. No one would do that. And if they did, there's really something wrong with their brain. Right.
So again, so how is that imputed to Hillary Clinton's competence to be president of the United States? What somebody on her staff did who's a tech guy, right? Look, the fact of the matter is, as I've heard often said on this air, there's a binary choice. You know, Hillary Clinton may not be the most tech-savvy person in the world. Republican opponents of Donald Trump, as we know, called him a racist, bigot, xenophobe, misogynist, and a con artist. That's the choice, and I agree. If they want somebody to run the technology for the country, my guess is that Hillary Clinton will pick.
Does it concern you that she can't remember her security training, or if she had it, because she said she fell and she hit her head? I mean, are you worried she has brain damage?
That's actually a mischaracterization. No. Again, we just saw her for 11 and a half hours. Donald Trump bellyached
that was her
about
answer,
a debate.
She said she can't remember.
Donald Trump bellyached about a debate for more than 2 hours when he was only going to talk for 15 minutes. She was on the hot seat for 11 and a half hours. Did she look like somebody who couldn't remember things?
So then that would make me think that she's lying then. Because I agree with you. I don't think it's true that she can't remember.
You know,
so I agree with you. I think that means she's lying then.
After she had her concussion, there were briefings that either she couldn't remember or she didn't receive. You know who also didn't have briefings when he was hospitalized? Ronald Reagan. So, yeah, when you're hospitalized and there's something wrong with you, you miss briefings. But the fact of the matter is, again, they've seen her on the world stage. They've seen her in this hearing. We've seen her operate. If the Trump campaign wants to go after her for being somehow addled, that is a debate Hillary Clinton would gladly have.
Let me ask you about the most recent polls, which I think you'll agree by all accounts are closing. I I mean, why do you think that's happening? Do you think it's this kind of conversation about the emails and all that is weighing on her? Her numbers have gone down. Do you think that it's a steadier message from Donald Trump? I mean, how would you explain the tightening in all of the polls?
Yeah. Well, look, the fact of the matter is, if you look at Real Clear Politics, that's what Chris Wallace always refers to, her lead's about 4 points.
Right.
Before both conventions, it was smaller than that. So the fact of the matter is, after all the dust has settled, people are going up and down and bumps and receding to the norm. She's actually got a bigger margin today than she did before both conventions. So, yeah, you could read
it's been
into the news of the week.
Since the end of the conventions. She was way ahead, and now it's closing
true.
up. But you're
And
not
that's
concerned. I
bound to
understand.
happen.
Richard, always
Yeah.
a pleasure. Thanks for coming on.
Thank you, Melissa.
Appreciate
Thank
your
you.
time.